point was that all of a sudden we were able to look at people's tweets by their address, not just following them. And so you could look at all your neighbors and see how they were tweeting, which gets us to the other side of what tweet maps are doing, which is that they are what geospatial data does, which is it reveals something about people, sometimes more perhaps than we wanted to have revealed. And that gets us to the issue of privacy. As an historian, privacy looks to me like a very modern invention. But it doesn't matter if it's modern or not, it's the law of the land in many areas, except in the geospatial realm, where no one seems to know exactly what to do yet. Kevin Pomfret, who is the inspiration for this conference, who had the idea of doing it, is founder and director of the Center for Law and, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting this, Spatial Law and Policy, and a lawyer himself. Kevin?
Thank you, Peter. Yes, and I think just to follow up on Peter's remarks, and first, good morning. Thank you for coming out. I want to thank the Center for Geographic Analysis, and particularly Wendy, and for her hard work in putting this together, and the other co-hosts today, which is the Berkman Center for Internet and Society and the Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs. So I think Peter was right in the sense that I saw yesterday as a really good foundation about the benefits and the value of geospatial and all the different ways that it can work together, or the benefits. But today I think we're going to focus on the cross-organizational, the cross-technology platform issues that they're dealing with. So we're going to look at Earth observation, we're going to look at smart grid, the internet, the role of government, and all the issues. And I think what you're going to find in today's discussions there's a lot of commonality of issues. They'll use different terms about, some will call it privacy, some will call it confidentiality. They'll use some business jargon, but I think you'll find that a lot of the issues cut across technology domains and organizational structures. And I think that is the foundation of spatial law and policy, which, to Peter's point, is a little bit of a mouthful, and we probably need to sort of relook at how to name it. But those common set of issues and the impact that they're having on this community is really important to start thinking about and addressing now. So with that, I'm just going to introduce Keith Mosbach. Keith is the CEO of the United States Geospatial Intelligence Foundation, based in D.C. And Keith, the USGIF is a co-sponsor of this event. Keith is a friend and someone whose advice I listen to quite a bit. So I'm glad he can take a few minutes to just talk about USGIF and their work here. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome back. It is our pleasure at USGIF to help sponsor and make sure that this event occurs. The United States Geospatial Intelligence Foundation is a 501c3 educational nonprofit foundation. Many of the organizations that look like us in the Washington area are more focused on lobbying and act more like trade organizations, and in fact that's what they were designed to do. And when we were founded about 9 years ago, the idea was to have a calling that went beyond that not only created a discussion at the intersection of industry, government, and academia, but also promoted the trade craft and got out ahead of issues with respect to the community, so that our community, this thing we lovingly call GeoInt, which is sort of broadly defined as imagery intelligence, and geospatial information kind of tied together for national security, that we wouldn't be reacting all the time. And this event, this discussion, the things that Kevin works on with great passion is absolutely critical to the future of our business. And as Kevin and I were talking about before we walked in here, it's a train coming at our business that most of the folks in our business don't understand. And as we talked about this morning, when we try to have this discussion in Washington, we would throw an event like this, and what we'd find is maybe some technicians and general counsels from various companies and organizations, because they view it as a legal issue. And Kevin and I have been convicted for some time that until they recognize that it's a business issue, until they recognize that it's an issue that affects the entirety of what we do on behalf of the nation, then we won't really have been successful. And we're really not there yet. So we have some ways to go. The ability to come up and partner with phenomenal organizations here at Harvard and draw people who think about this and are practitioners about this, unburdened by some of the other things that occupy our time in Washington, is phenomenal. And yesterday was a great program. Today will be an important piece of this puzzle as well. And we look forward to being able to come back here one day and say that we have captured the imagination of CEOs and COOs who push their lawyers aside and say, you can't go to this meeting for me, it's too important, I have to be there. Because they recognize the criticality of this to not just this industry around what we call GEO, but indeed this entire piece of national security. And whether that's GEO for good, the types of things that Lee Schwartz is doing overseas, other types of humanitarian projects, those are all bundled into what we view in a very broad realm. So thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for what you are doing. We will continue to do what we do down in Washington, and we'll report back when we get the right people's attention at the right level sustained over time. But this is a critical part of that, so thanks again.